What is a situation you have almost no sympathy with? When a parent abuses their child so much that their child eventually grows up and disowns them. I especially don't care when the parent then has no one to care for them in their old age. Had a friend whose boyfriend cheated on her like 5 times in 2 years. Always calling me at 3 a.m. crying, calling him names, and saying she is dumping him. She ended up marrying him, and the first phone call I got I hung up. You married the fool, you deal with it and quit waking me up. Driving drunk. Actually zero sympathy with. One of my now former friends said that driving drunk is his right. He went berserk when he was charged with a DUI. He said that he went to jail because he was using his freedom wrong. No, dumbass. It's because you were putting others' lives in danger. I grew up with an alcoholic father who drove impaired 90 of the time. He almost got us killed more times than I can count. No sympathy. He's the reason why I only drink 1 or 2 drinks maybe once a year. I cheated on my wife and now she left me, boohoo sir. People who always twist things around to victimize themselves. My sister-in-law has walked out of half a dozen jobs in as many months and now is having trouble getting hired. I used to prepare her resume for her, but I'm not anymore. I can't polish a turd. People who are suddenly held accountable for their actions when they thought they would get away with whatever it was. People who buy designer dogs from puppy mills then complain about the vet bills for the breed's well-known hereditary issues. People who text and drive. Because of someone who did just that, I lost a family member who should still be alive right now. Because of the person who texted while driving, my grandpa died. He should still be here. He should have seen me learn to drive, go on a first date, attend school dances, graduate high school, and witness me turn 21. But that never happened because someone thought their phone was more important than the people around them on the road. I miss him every day, and soon it'll be 9 years since he passed. Someone who is abusive. I can understand that people like that were probably harmed at some point in life, but that doesn't excuse maliciously using and abusing people around you. Weaponized incompetence. Rude to retail worker. Like I might have waived the fees if you were nice, but you weren't so $. My ex. She's been divorced 3 times, is in court battles with all 3. Gets her kid taken away until she could prove she was mentally competent. Cries victim in every single situation that doesn't go her way. Struggles financially all the time but without ever getting an actual job. And refuses to admit any of this is her fault in any way whatsoever. I have no sympathy for people like this. Cheaters' relationship being exposed, confronted about their behavior. History class at school, a boy copied and pasted his essay from Wikipedia and didn't even take the annotation numbers out, and he was old enough that he should have known way better. The teacher was a strict man, and you can guess how that went. I cheated on my homework at school too, but that was just laziness. Animal neglect and cruelty. Absolutely no sympathy from me. Men who insist on not using condoms, who are shocked Pikachu face when the woman becomes pregnant. People who complain about barely making it to their next paycheck and order 3 Uber Eats meals a day. Drinking and driving. Someone who started their relationship with a married person or a person in a long-term relationship getting treated disrespectfully, being dumped. People who chose drugs over their children. I am a victim of this. Because my mother was a heroin addict and my father died when I was a toddler, I was a victim of every type of abuse known to man. I was never safe, I was always hungry and sick, and I was always humiliated by her actions. The other kids and their parents knew she was an addict, so they were not allowed to be friends with me. My only Christmas memory was her being high, falling, knocking down the Christmas tree. Bullfighters getting gored. Maybe you shouldn't have decided to torture an animal for entertainment. That missionary guy who illegally went to the very clearly stated no outside contact island to convert people and they killed him immediately. What the fuck was the point, my dude? They don't speak any language, you know, so you were guaranteed to get absolutely nowhere. Leave people alone, no one cares about Jesus as much as you do. Pregnant women that drink use drugs. I'm a NICU RN that sees the awful effects to these babies. If you want to F up your own life, then fine. Don't you dare drag an innocent child into it. When hurt people is used to justify bullying. I will not give a bully sympathy for inflicting pain on another person, period. People who bring infants to movie theaters. People who make the same stupid mistakes, thinking there will be a newer outcome. Cheaters who cry when they get caught. Abusing children. Rapists and women child abusers who paint themselves as the victim when their victim tells. When people willingly have kids knowing that they can't financially support them, or when they have kids and then don't care for them and neglect them. I had an absent father for most of my prepubescent life and I heavily resent him for it. He did not give a shit about me. Oh no, I shot at somebody, but now they're shooting back. Tissanef. Child and animal abuse. People who keep crying over their situation but refuse to make any changes to make their situation better. Edit, I do still sympathize with them, of course, but it just seems pointless because it ended up hurting me instead. Also, this was directed towards a very specific situation in my life, not an attack on anyone who is stuck in a rut and has actual issues which are next to impossible to sort out. I hope and pray anyone who is going through SMTH like this can come out of it stronger, whatever the situation may be. Multiple unplanned pregnancy. I can see slipping up once, but many times. Guys who got someone pregnant but didn't wear a condom. One thing. Only one thing you had to do. As a woman who is on birth control, I would never have sex without a condom. The risk isn't worth it. But every guy I've ever hooked up with has wanted to go without. Like seriously. How are you surprised when something happens then? I'd be triple wrapping that SHT if it were me. Having 6-7 kids with 6-7 different men. Or on the flip side, having 6-7 kids W6-7 different women, and then you wonder why your paycheck is being garnished because you haven't paid child support in 10 years. Scumbag landlords. People who don't help themselves. I've watched so many people die just because they wouldn't listen to me because you're just a mean nurse. You might think I'm mean, but now you're dead. I will absolutely push you to do everything you can to get better, but you have to help too. But promoting any kind of independence to some people is mean. Pedophilia. If you drive drunk, fuck you. No sympathy for you when something terrible happens. Parents who don't discipline their children for poor behavior and then complain about how the whole world is against little Billy Bob for doing normal childhood antics. Read crimes. Also parents who use an iPad to babysit and then complain that their child has no attention span and has meltdowns when they take it away. Religious zealous. I'm oppressed. No, you keep self-imposing shit on yourself and other people. Just leave everyone alone. People begging for assistance in situations they cause, over and over again. Once you know better, do better. When criminals blame their childhoods or hard lives for why they should be spared a life sentence without parole for murder. People that complain about their life, but do nothing to improve it and would rather throw a pity party all the time. Social media influencers and reality stars who bitch about invasion of privacy. Anti-vaxxers getting sick of easily preventable diseases. They would rather trust idiots on Facebook or YouTube rather than years of medical science. Making poor financial decisions and then needing others to bail them out. People climbing a mountain or sailing dangerous waters, putting themselves at risk, and then someone else has to risk their life to save them. Fuck those people. People who are unkind just because they are in a power position. I also believe in karma. But it's still hard to see or experience. Using meth when you know you are pregnant. Getting caught